How's everyone doing? Hope your weekend's going well. Hey, yeah,
Hi.
my cat's here.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, shall we? I'll just start off with some introduction. Yeah. So for those who are familiar with my page, you know that Dr. Cat is not new. So we've done a few talks together before this. She's very passionate about creating awareness around gynae and obstetrics issues, and she's gynecology and obstetrics specialist in Hospital Podixon, right? Yeah. And today we decided, since we've been talking a lot about COVID, and it's been quite a very intense few weeks, I think, and the topics have been quite intense. We thought we'll keep it a bit lighthearted, and we wanted to share something that's very close to our heart. And so we're going to be discussing how to navigate your pregnancy, your delivery, and postpartum period during this pandemic. Somehow, this pandemic still comes into the picture because that's a reality and we have to live with that. So over to you, Dr. Kat.
Yeah. Thanks, Annie, for the kind words and introduction. Um, Actually, we discussed regarding this topic, and we thought we want to talk about vaccination and pregnancy. So we have been talking about vaccine and all this vaccination and why pregnant women should get vaccinated. So it's really good that we can take a breather and talk about something really light, navigating the pregnancy through the pandemic season. So during this pandemic, everything has changed and turned our lives all upside down, not only to our patients but also to us as the healthcare givers. So throughout these 1.5 years, things has been constantly changing. We have been changing our protocols and keep on updating and seeing what's the latest and the new information that arise among the pregnant mothers and also their babies. The main concern now here during the pregnancy is definitely the mom and also the baby lah. So here we want to maybe because I had my child like 7 years ago, definitely never near the pandemic season. So I can only tell my experience based on what I see and what I journey through with my patients. So Vani, I know that you have gone through this whole season during the pandemic. It would be
Yeah.
really nice if you can, uh, just tell your story, because a birth story will never go wrong. Everybody will just love to listen what happens during another person's pregnancy season. So
Yeah.
you can go through and then we will navigate from there lah.
Yeah. So first, I think I'll share a bit about my antenatal period, which is when I was pregnant. So I had a pandemic pregnancy, and my baby is an MCO baby. So she was born in August 2020. Actually, I've been quite excited about this talk. I've been looking forward to sharing my story because I've not really shared my pandemic pregnancy story much. And I decided I was going to wear my favorite pregnancy outfit today. So this is the dress I wore to work, and this is the only dress I would look good in with the bump and everything, you know. And I got most compliments, and so I thought I'd bring that dress out proudly. It still fits me very well.
Okay.
It's one of those stretchable ones. So yes, so I went through my whole pregnancy period during pandemic. And in terms of the pregnancy itself, some I just thought perhaps I would share some of the things that I found was a little bit of an obstacle because of the pandemic. So the first thing that I found was slightly an obstacle was the fact that I could not bring my husband to my antenatal appointments. And this is because of the strict rule that hospitals and clinics have that, you know, they want to limit the number of people in the waiting area, in the clinics. They want to limit the number of exposure, which meant that I had to go to all these antenatal visits by myself. And of course, the most exciting part about pregnancy is when you go for your ultrasound scan appointments and you get to see, you know, your baby's heartbeat, your baby moving, and how's your baby growing. And I think about three-quarter of those appointments, Poshan couldn't join me because of those, restrictions in place. But I would tell my gynae, I'll be like, or the ultrasonographer, I'll be like, hey, can I churi take one video? Or can I bring some photos back? Because for me, a huge part of it was like, because we are carrying the baby, we feel the baby, we feel the kicks, we feel the moves, but for the dads it's different. So I think these antenatal appointments and this, when they see the baby through the ultrasound scans, and that's when they get to have that bonding with the baby. So I felt that those were moments that Poshan was being slightly robbed from, and I could see he would be very jealous after my ultrasound appointments. Like, I would come home and I'd be like, oh, the baby looks like this. I saw the baby move in the scan, and he'd just have a very upset face because he'll be so jealous that he couldn't get to be in those scans with me. So in that sense, I think it was a bit of we got a bit robbed by this pandemic. But I tried to find ways to still keep him in touch. I would, call him from the appointments. I would get him to speak to my gynae. I would record the ultrasound for him. I try and get the recording back so that he would have that bonding as well. So that was one of my first antenatal struggles.
Okay. So I believe it's all the same also, like towards everyone who is going through this season, because every couple is going blind, through this season. And as an obstetrician, we are also facing the same similar situation, because we do not know what we are going to face during the early pandemic times. So on top of that, we have to face this disappointment that your patient has, that they cannot bring their husband along. So, that you'll be like begging you, and you'll be like explaining, do you know that this policy is this? And it's very difficult to make everyone understand. So I believe an antenatal checkup during this pandemic is still a partnership. We want, we also want that every couple that is pregnant enjoy their journey. And unless you have 100 children, then you can, you may forget your journey.
Yeah.
But nowadays pregnancy is like a very memorable thing, and everybody wants to go through it together, and they want to make it a beautiful memory. So I totally understand the couple's feelings. So even not only in our country, but also in other countries, in our developed countries, they also came up with protocols how we should care for the pregnant mothers and also their babies without compromising their care. Because it's a 9-month period of preparation. So we have to optimize a pregnant mother for that one moment of delivery, for the baby. So the preparation of these 9 months, we do not want anything to go wrong also. So there is it's important to know that a woman, when you get pregnant, you have to classify yourself, and whether you are in the high risk group or the low risk group. So if you are in the low risk group, I mean during this pandemic, that means besides that you are healthy, you don't have any medical conditions, and then you are just fit, and throughout your pregnancy everything has been normal, then your antenatal checkups will be much more lighter. That means that you just need few follow-ups and few scans. Of course, if you are doing it in a low volume hospital, that means if it's not high volume and it's not a COVID hospital, you're doing in a private setup and a GP, then the care will be definitely different comparatively to a high volume patient care hospital. So I hope that all our patients understand that this is the situation that we are going through. If you are in the low volume setup, that means you still can have this one-to-one, your partner can come alongside with you to support you. But in a high volume hospital, and it's also considered high risk patient who comes to us for follow-up. And I also make it a point that when you come for antenatal follow-up, that we constantly communicate with the women. So and bring the husband into the loop. Malaysian women, they love to have their obstetrician talk to their husbands. So we will be like explaining to them, okay, this is what happens and this is what you have gone through. Then at last they will say, doctor, can you talk to my husband? I'm like, husband is just around the corner, if he's just, waiting in the parking, I'll be like, okay, call your husband. So we will still need you to adhere to the protocol. That means you have to wash your hands, you have to make sure you wear your mask, then you have to sit in a distance. There is distance between us, the caregivers, and also the patients, so that we can have this optimized care during the whole antenatal period. So everybody has been focusing on this antenatal period, and I would like to emphasize again that pregnancy is a very vulnerable state. So now we are in the midst of vaccinating pregnant mothers. So of course, we don't have vast data about COVID-19 vaccination itself on pregnancy, but be rest assured that COVID-19 vaccine is safe for pregnancy, because basically the principle is the same. We have been using vaccine in pregnancy, and it works the same to build the antibody and to protect the mother and also protect the baby. So this vaccine is similar to. So even though we don't have enough data, but based on our previous experience with the other vaccines, so it is safe to be given, especially when you are pregnant. The severity of the infection can be severe in some women, and when you say it's severe, that means you have higher hospital ICU care, and there is risk of early delivery. So it doesn't mean that you would not get COVID infection, but it's just that the severity will be reduced. So that's why we are so emphasizing that pregnant women should get pregnant. I've been having a lot of phone calls from even doctors themselves who are worried about what's the effect of this vaccine towards their baby. Be rest assured that the safety data is so strong until they say that there is no harm demonstrated to your baby, and it's really negligible. So there's no need to be anything that we need to be overly concerned about. We totally understand there's some concern, but not to the extent that you do not want to put the vaccine.
I think the benefit of the vaccination outweighs the risk tremendously, especially given our current state and current case numbers. And recently, I was I don't like sharing very negative pregnancy outcomes. I'm generally the type to talk about very happy pregnancy stories and labor stories, because I believe we get bombarded by all these negative stories, and then we tend to create that thing, whereas we don't focus on the positive aspects. But I think, speaking of this pandemic, I just thought I'll touch on on our nurse who recently passed, our pregnant nurse who recently passed away. It was very unfortunate, and I don't think anyone deserves that. So, pregnant mother out there, if you're between week 14 and 33, speak to your healthcare providers and get vaccinated, like Dr. Kat just mentioned. Yeah. Okay. Now let's get back to light-hearted topic. I'm done with this. So the other part about during antenatal period that I found was very different to what would have happened if it wasn't pandemic was your antenatal classes. So just before I got pregnant, I always knew that, I wanted to join these antenatal classes, and then you have this picture of antenatal classes in your head, that you go to with your partners, and you sit down and you both do yoga and breathing exercises and pelvic exercises, and they teach your partner how to massage your back when you're having contractions, or to give you a shoulder massage and all. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, you couldn't do any of this face to face or in a class setting, so you kind of missed out on that. And similarly with breastfeeding course as well, because I was quite sure I was going to breastfeed, or I wanted to try to breastfeed from day one. So my friends had advised me to take up breastfeeding courses, again PKP. So, but we were quite fortunate that a lot of these instructors did come up with an online version. So Poshan and I actually sat through an 8-hour online breastfeeding course between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. And after
Of
that,
course.
yeah, after which we thought we knew everything about breastfeeding until the day Pradhani was born and they told me to latch her, and then I realized I knew nothing again. I was back to ground zero. But the one thing I got away from that thing was to know where to seek for help. So in that sense, the breastfeeding online course was really, really good. In terms of mentally preparing me as well. But then again, halfway between our pregnancy, just before the delivery, the PKP was loosened a bit. So we got the chance to actually attend a birthing class. We took it up for 6 weeks. And I found it was after the birthing class that my whole perception or my whole outlook about the pregnancy changed for the better, because prior to that I had a lot of anxiety within me when I was pregnant. One was because I was working in the hospital within the ward settings. I had a COVID scare initially when we had our first wave of COVID. The patient that I was looking after had COVID, and then everything was still new. You didn't know how it was going to affect pregnancy. So I had a COVID scare then. And then I was also naturally, I think being healthcare professionals, we tend to imagine the worst outcomes of everything. So whatever little symptoms, I tended to imagine the worst of the outcomes. So attending the birthing class was very helpful for me to change my whole outlook about the pregnancy, have a more positive outlook. And I think it also gave Poshan a chance to be quite involved. Like you said, it was a partnership. We had a partnership, and he knew his role, like how to support his husband. And we were both mentally prepared towards the birth, like towards the actual birth and the labor. So we sort of, although our labor actually turned out very different to what we had imagined in our head. I don't think you can ever plan 100%. We got a total shock of our life. I think we'll be coming to our birth story shortly. But I think we got a really good chance to prepare, and just to be, just to kind of have that great bond going into it. So that was kind of, I just wanted to share my birthing class experience to kind of encourage moms out there to try the same as well.
Yeah, we always encourage to have all these antenatal classes for couples. In the hospitals also, we do have classes for all our couples so that they will know what to expect. When you have when we have research has also shown that if you have gone through antenatal classes, meet the expectation and the chances of you having a more it's not it doesn't affect any outcome of delivery, but then you will have a more less expectation and higher satisfaction rate. So high satisfaction rate. So based on that, most of the time we always have a lot of classes for our mothers, including going to the wards and taking around the labor room so that you know what you will expect and what are the problems and issues that arises during the pregnancy, and to give a special care to all the situations that are going through. So during this COVID pandemic, definitely there is none. And because we are so occupied doing all our policies and setting the protocols of how we want to manage our patients, so that part is a bit neglected, I can say. So,
Yes. Yeah.
so because we do want to catch up with the follow up, and then we want to ensure that they are safe and to go into labor and plan everything correctly so that nothing will go wrong.
Yeah.
So, but I think there is no end of resource. So resources can be found. In fact, because we were preparing of this class, I managed to browse through certain websites and pages. There's so much of information out there, and in fact, everyone is just there out there telling you what to expect, and the information is so much out there, and so you can actually you can actually learn from other people's experience.
Yeah.
I always believe that both the couples can learn things together. You do it together because pregnancy is always a journey. It's not that one day you get pregnant and the next day you deliver a baby. It's a journey going through the first week, the second week, and third week, and then it's first trimester. Every trimester has its own challenges and different changes that goes on with the pregnant women. So maybe
That's
you
right.
are some people, they are very calm in the first pregnancy, and in the third trimester they become so different. So it's very different, and
Mm.
each pregnancy is also different for every woman. So
Yeah.
if your first pregnancy you were vomiting throughout the pregnancy, it doesn't mean the second pregnancy will be like that, because it's all
Mm.
different. If your
Mm.
first pregnancy is a vaginal delivery, the second might be cesarean section. You do not know, so
Yeah.
it's full of expectation. That's why sometimes you cannot be prepared lah for
Yeah.
the
No. No.
pregnancy. No, you can never be prepared. You know, if you can be prepared, that means it's really great lah. So, but
Yeah.
everybody is like, it's still the unknown out there. Even for us, be like, I've conducted so many deliveries, did so many cesarean section, but every day is like still pray hard that nothing will happen to any one of them.
Yeah.
So that's the journey for during during the pregnancy. So
Yeah.
there's also questions that people usually women throw out there, those who wants to get pregnant.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you want to get pregnant, we actually do not know when this pandemic is going to end. So you do not need to delay to try to conceive or to get pregnant. So if you are at higher risk, make sure that you get vaccinated, and then just continue to try to get pregnant or continue fertility treatment,
Yeah.
and plan it proper, and try to have a baby lah.
Yeah. I think that's a really good advice. I've been having a lot of ladies who are trying to conceive or planning to conceive soon, and their question was, "Oh, what do I do about my vaccination, or what do I do about my pregnancy?" And I think you gave the perfect answer. You just go ahead and try, but try and get vaccinated first, and then and then try, and that's the answer. That's the way I think everyone should go about it, so that you are protected during your pregnancy as well. Dr. Ken, you recently published a very lovely video on packing pregnancy bags. I was very, very impressed. It took me about 4 weeks to pack mine, but you packed it within 10 minutes. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about that? I know everyone can go to your video shortly and watch that. But do you want to share a little bit about what, during this pandemic, what's essential and what's non essential?
Okay. Uh, because I wanted to do this packing because I work closely with women lah. Okay, so I know some of them can be really not prepared. They don't know what to expect, and they come literally with nothing. Literally
Mm.
with nothing. They will be like, aren't you supposed to be at least be prepared? It's not
Yeah.
that we are talking bad about them or what, but like some things that should be essential lah. So this is because the experience with my sister lah, my sister.
Yeah.
So my sister had an emergency cesarean section, and so she works in a hospital also, and then she went for a checkup, and she had a fetal distress, and she went into emergency cesarean. I had another sister who works nearby, so she can go and straight away go to the hospital lah, and see her. And then this girl is calling me. Aka has gone has gone for emergency season. Now they are pushing her, willing her into it. I'm of course
Yeah.
the calm one, because I know exactly what's happening. And the one who is doing the cesarean section is also my friend. So I just called her up and said, okay, it's fine. Okay, done. I'll be there in a short while. So the journey is around half an hour. And I asked my mom, so where's her bag? So I can bring the bag along. Then my mom said, I think she haven't prepared her bag. Look at this. My own sister has not prepared her bag. So I said to myself, I think this is a thing that should be educated. It sounds so simple, but
Yeah.
it must be educated to all the pregnant women out there. Be prepared. The best is at 32 to 36 weeks, because that's the time that, because most of the time, most women go into labor after 37 weeks. So from 32 weeks to 36 weeks, you've given you ample of time to move around, to get to pack your things. During this COVID season, you just need to pack what is necessary. like, because you are you have to go through this alone probably. But do not worry, we are always there for you. But you need to carry your bags. Your
Yeah.
husband can only drop you at the assessment center. So pack it light. So prepare a bag for a mom and also for the baby, and pack the necessities. I've already list down what are the things that you should pack. You do not need to bring everything. If just in case that you forget, your husband can also bring it to
Bring
you
it
to the
in.
hotel,
Yeah.
because
Yes, that's right.
you can drop it. So basically, I think the most important thing is your antenatal book lah. You won't be
Mm.
actually, Bunny, I've seen so many women who come to the hospital without bringing the antenatal book and also without bringing their medication. So I think maybe it's the panic, I think, because they so panic, so suddenly their water broke, suddenly they have this contraction, suddenly something is like you're feeling unwell, so they just rush, to the hospital. But before you rush, if you have packed it well, so just take that and just run.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so now the other thing is during this pandemic, we also have regulations from MKN. So it's strictly that we are not allowed to travel, um, outside our state,
Yeah.
and we have to to remember that applies to all pregnant women out there. When you are seeking medical care and also pregnancy care, the best would be going to the nearest hospital near your house or near your place. Because in Malaysia, almost everywhere we have hospital berbakar, and also there's also private centers there. So you have to estimate where are you going. So some of these mothers, they have this idea, I'm going back hometown, staying in Seremban and going back to Kelantan and Terengganu and all that. So the first is you're exposing yourself to unwanted risk, because the journey, you do not know how and what is the exposure, because it's a risk of traveling also. So then the journey is so long, and it can, because none of the doctors will be giving you a travel letter.
Yeah.
Because we can offer the service for you to travel, for you to deliver, so we will not provide a letter. Because we need to adhere to what the government ruling says. So the best is have a set mind of where you want to deliver, so that at the end of the day, do not need to, be kelang kabut to go and cari the hospital that you want. So and prepare all your documents ready, and then make sure you know how many roadblocks are there. And when there are signs or symptoms, don't go too late, because we do not want you to deliver in the car or deliver in front of the hospital's traffic light. So estimate what is the journey like, and then when you have signs or symptoms, it's never wrong to go and seek treatment.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. And I think another thing that I think pregnant mothers should be reminded quite early on in their pregnancy as well, Dr. Kat, like you said, they have to have this all planned, like, where they're going to deliver, who they're going to deliver. And if you have the privilege of, going to a private center or choosing your obstetrician, do that quite early on as well. Get to know your obstetrician. If you feel uncomfortable, then you can always switch your obstetrician, especially if you belong to a low risk pregnancy and you do not need any specialist follow up. You still have the chance to do your research, see what's most convenient to you, which is the closest hospital to you. Like for myself, I was quite fortunate that at the hospital that I delivered, they actually allowed my husband to room in with me during the MCO period. So, but that I actually did tons of research and to make sure I got my right obstetrician. I went and met her in person, and then that I actually went and saw what the delivery rooms were going to be like. How many flights? I know where the lift was, how I was going to walk to the lift, where the car park was. And we actually did a rehearsal with our packed bags when I was about 36 weeks. Poshan used to roll the bags. So he would from our apartment to the lift to the car, and we actually did a little rehearsal of how he was going to carry all the stuff because I had my gym ball and my bag, and I didn't pack light. I'm sorry, I have to admit I did not pack light. So. But I think all those things eventually, all these small things eventually play a big role when it actually comes to that time, like you said, because it is sort of like an overwhelming time when you do go into a contraction or you get your water broken. So at least if you have all these prepared, then they become, it's just an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you didn't pack light, so I think
Yeah.
I should put up a video of what are the things that you should not pack.
Okay, that's right. I think so. And perhaps you could use my bag to demonstrate what you should not put.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
true, Wani. You that's the thing about obstetricians. We as obstetricians, we play an important role in the journey. In the women's journey. The first pregnancy is with you, and then the second pregnancy they want it with you, and they want to follow up you. Even small little things also they say they will ask you, and they want you are so close and so tightly involved in the not only in the women's life, in also their whole family's life, because
That's right.
not only in the pregnancy, because every monthly period seems to bother them, the kind of situation
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
are into. So it's very important for you to be very comfortable with your own obstetrician. And
That's right.
if you do not have one, do not worry. The hospital still gives you the best care. Okay, the midwives and the nurses and the doctors there. If you are in low risk pregnancy, everyone is there to care for you. And if you are in a high risk pregnancy, then there is special attention to you, because the high risk group definitely has special attention.
That's right.
As compared to the low risk group. So high risk group is around three. The Our high risk group has a more specialized plan care. So when it comes to a pregnancy, basically we need just to answer few questions only. So what problem you have during this pregnancy? If you don't have any problem, then you just wait. Wait until you have your you have your signs and symptoms of early labor, and wait until you go spontaneous into labor. So
Yeah.
then the other group is if you have risk factor, then the doctor, your obstetrician would have planned a delivery for you, especially the timing of delivery. So
That's
you
right.
might roughly know you are going to go into labor around 37 weeks or 38 weeks or 39 weeks, depending on the hospital policy. So, that's the term, like, paksa bersalin comes into play. Actually, it's induction of labor. So that why we do induction, because we feel that is the safest way and safest time for the baby to be delivered, looking at your risk factor that you have. So then the other group is an elective planned cesarean section. So when you have an elective planned cesarean section, then you also will roughly know around how many weeks you will deliver. So between vaginal delivery and cesarean section, the vaginal delivery is of course the unknown, because
Yes.
you do not know when you go into labor, you do
That's
not
right.
know when the pain will start, you do not know when to pack your bags, you do not know whether you need to wake up in the midnight. So all these thoughts will go running, and you need to practice, practice with your bag, and
Yeah.
go to the hospital. So that are the challenges with this vaginal delivery, where the waiting and expectation and the pain comes into the picture. If you have a planned cesarean section, then everything is at place. So you will know what time your baby will come out, what is the date of the baby's birthday. You might even choose the time the baby wants to say, Doktor, pukul 2 boleh tak? Okay, boleh. Things like that lah. So when in labor, this is where the action takes place lah. After so many months of caring for the women, looking at them being pregnant, then here they come at at their time for delivery. So so different women have different experience lah. Because mine was a very short labor. It was like within few hours, 3 hours, I had a normal vaginal delivery. So what was your experience, Wani?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Okay. So mine, like I said earlier, I went into it with a completely different mindset. We thought, oh, we're going to have a Zen baby, we're going to have a Zen delivery. And, we went in, we brought our music, our Zen music, and my gym ball and all of it. And we were prepared to have a Zen delivery. And then the contractions kicked in. And so it was around, so my contractions started on a Thursday morning. And by the Thursday night, it was a bit more regular and was Friday early morning. And I said to Poshan by the Thursday night, I said, get some sleep. I think we will be going into the hospital by tomorrow morning. And then we woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, okay, it's quite regular. Let's go in now. And we went in at about 3 in the morning and checked in, and the nurse said, okay, I need to check your cervix and see, are you ready or not. But by this point my contractions were already every 5 minutes, but my cervix were only dilated about 1 cm. So then the obstetrician came in at about 9 a.m. and she examined and did the same thing, and she was like, well, it's only dilated about 2 to 3 cm. What do you think, like, what should we do? And then I said, oh, again, I wanted to go with my Zen delivery. And then my obstetrician was like, no, I think we better start you on some oxytocin. What do you think? And I was like, oh, do you want to start me on oxytocin? She's like, just listen to me. She said, okay. I said, no, I trust you completely. Start me on oxytocin. And she's like, would you like an epidural? I said, no, I'm going to have a Zen delivery. I do not want an epidural. I said to her, 10 minutes into the oxytocin, I called the anesthetist. I said, please give me an epidural. And I remember the next hour, I was very lucky to be able to have Koshan in the delivery room with me. And I think that would have been the hardest 1 hour of his life as I ripped him apart. And then the epidural came in and the epidural kicked in. And then after that, things got a bit better. So I think I don't quite I just remember very vaguely what happened between sort of 10 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m. But then at about 1:45, my obstetrician told me that baby's having a little bit of distress. Her heart rate was decelerating and they might have to take me in for an emergency C-section. So at this point, I'm still trying to push. So she was getting me to push. But they've already prepared theatre, and she was calling theatre, and I could hear her say, is theatre ready? We're going to push right now in about 5 minutes. And I remember because during my antenatal visits, I used to tell her, Prof, I want a normal delivery. I want a normal delivery. I want a normal delivery. So she came up to me and she told me, Vani, just give me one last push. And if you don't, I have to take you in for emergency C-section now. Baby's heart rate doesn't look too good. And I said, okay, here we go. But we were prepared. Like we were like, okay, whatever that is best in that moment. If in that moment emergency C-section is the best for us, then let's go with it. But then I tried to gather whatever might I could. And that last push did it. And she came out and she was lovely and wonderful, my baby. So that was my a very dramatic delivery.
Yeah. Congratulations. You had a successful delivery.
Thank you. And now she's very sleepy.
So this is the vagina baby.
Yes.
True, and when it comes to signs and symptoms of labor, so we have to be well prepared. Like you already know what are the signs and symptoms of coming along. So I think every pregnant women should know that what are the signs and symptoms of labor that you should be sensitive to. And sometimes some women may not experience anything. They will have some discomfort, and some even come with diarrhea. But the main symptoms is you have bleeding, okay, especially with mucus, and sometimes your water might break. Then you have contraction which is increasing in strength. That means that you feel more painful and more painful each time. So it's more regular. In this kind of situation, then you have to seek medical attention. And also I would like to emphasize here, don't forget to do your fetal movement
Yes.
So you have to be sensitive to continuously see the activity of your baby. So it is a relationship between the mother and the baby. If you feel your baby is not kicking well, the intensity have already reduced, you don't feel like your baby is just like your normal days, then even though it's pandemic, seek treatment. So the hospital is still the safest place. So some would be worried whether, you know, whether I will be laboring around along with the COVID patients or what. But be rest assured that we have our protocol and also our standard, SOPs of how we manage those pregnant mothers with COVID infection and those who are not. Like my center, we are the non-COVID hospitals. That means what we do is we screen, we identify, and we only deliver those who are under quarantine. So those who are confirmed COVID positive is being sent to a larger center where the backup is more complete because you need certain facilities to cater to them. So here, even it's those who are under surveillance, if they come, we will have a stringent protocol of how we should manage, and it's definitely different and separated from other pregnant mothers. So, we also have policies that certain patients should be done COVID testing before prior to admission, prior to certain procedures. So, in my larger hospital, in our general hospital, they do screening tests for every pregnant mothers before they go into labor and also into labor room. So, to ensure that not only our patients and also our healthcare workers are being in safe hands. So these are the things that the pregnant mothers should know, that this is what they would expect. So I'll be talking a lot about hospital government setup because I'm from the government hospital. So I'm more familiar with what happens in Kementerian Kesihatan as compared to the private setup. So in the government hospital, what we do is there was a period of time we allow partners to come into the labor suite, but now with the increased incidents, so we sadly we have to decline that we cannot allow the partner to come in. But be rest assured that we are all there to support and to give the very best to every pregnant mothers out there. I still remember lately there was one incident that this mother was a bit scared to go through a vaginal delivery because her baby was quite big. So, but she agreed for a vaginal delivery. She said she wants to try for a vaginal delivery, and she did request that can I have my husband along only during my second stage of labor. That is what she was pushing. So I felt that at that moment of time, so our labor room was a bit empty, and she was the only one laboring. So in that circumstance, I said, okay, I think I can allow your husband to come in. But by the time the husband came, she already delivered. We do alter our management towards the care of the patient because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about our patient and the pregnant mother. We want them to feel, the satisfaction and to feel that they are cared for and comfortable in every setup that they have, even during labor. So I always have this policy that, I every time tell my patients, if you want to deliver, yes, you have to deliver like a star because you are the one, the person who we are all focused on. So this is the most memorable. If you need to not to say dress up because everybody wears the same outfit in hospital. But if you need to look good, look presentable, of course you can. You do not need to be in like severe pain without taking epidural and going through all these painful moments just because you want it all natural. So if you think your pain is unbearable, if you think you really need support, then you can always request for epidural, and the service will be there and available for you. If the circumstances is, if we can provide, yes, we will. Because all we want is a safe delivery and everybody to go through a very special moment together.
But speaking of this, Dr. Kat, the immediate postpartum period, right, is when especially when your partner is not able to be there. It's a major change for the mother. She's tired after the whole delivery process. She's learning how to breastfeed the baby. She's learning to bond with the baby. There's issues like breast engorgement. for, there's wound pain, whether that's vaginal delivery or C-section. You're unable to walk. You're not sure how you're going to go to the washroom without any pain. And when you're trying to get over all of that and you do not have your husband there by your side to help you, how can these women navigate that? Because I feel that is the hardest part, especially if your baby, let's say your baby has got a bit of jaundice, like my baby had jaundice and she had to be hospitalized after that. So how can this mom, get through this period without their partners?
Okay, yeah, this is a common question and also a real thing that all our patients face because especially those who are facing their first pregnancy. So when they're in their first pregnancy, they really everything seems so strange to them because suddenly they are, they are delivered, suddenly they are in pain, and then suddenly they have this small little tiny baby that they have to care for. If
Yeah.
the baby is being admitted to admit being admitted, then is another ball game because the baby will be kept by our pediatrician colleagues, and the if the baby is also there with them, I think for the first first time mom lah, so those who are going through the first pregnancy, because the antenatal class would have given you a rough idea what you are going through. So if your vaginal delivery is not complicated, that means that you didn't have excessive bleeding, your tear was not, everything went smoothly, you had minimal tear and the stitches were minimal, and usually you will recover within 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours. I even see first in their first pregnancy, they after we wheel them out from the labor room, they are able to just sit down and drink their nutritional fluid, and they are just like normal because it's a vaginal delivery. The body has been designed to be in such a way. This I'm talking about those who have no complication. Those who have complication, then is different. Then so we have when you are low risk, not only us, but also the midwives and nurses are there, also there to care for you. Everything is in the touch of the button. So any help you want, you just press the button. There will be, medical officers, house officers coming and running to care for you. So it's okay for you to call for help in the hospital because that is why you are here. And I have already mentioned you are the star. Okay, so you are the one. You are the one who who will have all our attention. So so it's okay because we can help you, and we also have breastfeeding. We are baby friendly hospital, so we have policies that how to help mothers to engage and also to bond with their baby. So every time when the baby, there will be nurses guiding you all along just after your pregnancy, just after your delivery, how to skin, put your baby
Yeah.
with you for 1 hour, teach you to breastfeed, bring you, clean you, help you, wheel you to the toilet. Is like step by step. Everyone is there for you, so do not need to worry. Really, do not need to worry. It's just like a hotel that you will
Yeah.
be.
Hotel, hospital. Yeah.
At the hospital, it's like you don't need to worry about your food. You don't need to worry about your clothes. Everything is provided. All you just need is just press the button, and everyone will be there for you. So
Exactly.
Mhm.
So don't feel like you're alone. Just ask for help, and everyone is there to care for you. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I still remember. I think this was the kindest gesture that I felt immediately postpartum was that because we were admitted for an additional day for the jaundice. And the whole day, like you said, it's a very new baby, and like I have read all the books, I have seen all the videos, but when you have your own little tiny thing, it's like a completely different ballgame altogether, right? You're just wondering, am I holding her right? Am I doing it right? So I was like I was just tired the whole day and trying to breastfeed her or trying to figure out how to breastfeed. And remember the nurse came and told me at night, she's like, why don't I just have her for a couple of hours? You catch some sleep. And I was like, am I allowed to do that? I said, no, I'm not allowed to do that. I want to keep my baby with me. What if she's hungry? I need to breastfeed her. Or, what if she needs me? And she's like, don't worry, I'll bring her to you when she's hungry. Why don't you catch some sleep? Because you're not going to get much sleep when you get home. And that was actually the kindest thing that happened to me postpartum. Actually, I found that just the smallest help was very, very helpful. Mm.
So, I've also seen during our night rounds, our pregnant mother, our postpartum mothers, they will be sleeping and sleeping away soundly. We will be the one carrying the baby, okay, soothing that, and the nurses will be what they will do is they will go around, then they will rearrange the baby's cot and
Yeah.
to make sure everything is in place. So I think the fear shouldn't be there, even during this pandemic. So the unknown is fearful, but now we have talked and discussed about this. So I believe that everybody should have
They should be more confident about
more confident
about going to the
it.
hospital. Yeah. Dr. Kat, we've got like another last 5 minutes before we take some questions and answers. But can we talk a bit about the postpartum period now in our last 5 minutes? Because again, the postpartum period is also heavily affected by pandemic. Because usually, in postpartum, we have our massage therapist visiting, and we have our lactational consultants are able to come and visit, and we usually we Asian families, we have tons of help, our grandparents, parents, but this is all limited during the pandemic time. So can you perhaps give a little bit of advice to new parents about how they can navigate through their postpartum period and also how to keep themselves safe?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of changes, especially in postpartum period. Those days, when you come back home, there'll be like tons of family members are waiting there to carry your baby, to carry your bag, to carry your clothes, and carry everything that you have, and you'll be the only one standing. But now the situation has already changed. You are there alone with your baby and also probably with your husband and also your small unit of family. So I would like to emphasize here, the risk is still there. COVID is still real and it can affect not only you, but it also can affect your baby. So it's very important to have the mindset of you have to care for your baby alone. So you have to do it alone. So because of the limitation of movement, so then your confinement lady will not be able to visit. So there is some place that is open for a confinement center, but I do not know. I do not know exactly at this moment of time every confinement center can operate or not because it's still COVID and we have another lockdown. So everything is being limited in every sense and every direction. So I believe we women we are just strong. We can go through this season, like how we have gone through so many other things. So this 6 weeks postpartum period, the most important thing is go back to the basic. So go back to just caring for your baby, care for you and care for your baby. It's important for you to be healthy, to give enough sleep, to give enough support. Support can come from your husband, can come from social media, can come by talking with your friends and also colleagues through phones, and that support will sustain you. In difficult times, if you do not know what to do, just do what you know to do. So just stay healthy, eat healthy, stay hydrated. Make sure if anything that you are not aware or not familiar with, then you just make a phone call and call the trustable people that you know or call the hospital to get the best advice.
Yeah, and I think for family and friends who who can't visit, and instead of visiting and because there's an increased risk that if you are infected, you're going to pass on the infection to the mom and the bubs. Perhaps just trying to be a little creative, deliver the food, send them food parcels rather than going yourself and visiting, and perhaps send them items that they may need through delivery because we want to make sure that these moms and bubs are safe as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Yeah.
Everybody should be safe, and this movement control and all these policies that have been set up is just to keep every one of us safe. So if every one of us can play a role, then we will make this world a better and safer one. Okay, so let's just follow what has been said and not to question much lah.
Um, just in the last couple of minutes, let's take some questions that the viewers have sent. This is a bit out of topic, but perhaps you could give your input, Dr. Kat. There's a question here. Tips for trying to conceive after a miscarriage.
Okay, research has shown that after a miscarriage, that you can immediately try to conceive. So that when you immediately try to conceive, because those days I used to advise my patient, tunggu 3 bulan, tunggu 6 bulan and all that. But then now research has shown that after you have a miscarriage, you can immediately try to conceive, because when you try to conceive immediately, the successful rate of implantation is higher. So this is something new also to me. And so now I advise my patient, one, you can start trying to conceive. Second, you have to make sure that everything is well with you. So to make sure that your BMI, that means your weight, you're not overweight, try to reduce weight, because when you reduce weight, there's increase of success of conceiving spontaneously. And if you have any medical condition, ensure that your medical condition is well controlled. And that means if you have diabetes is well controlled. Hypertension, that means your blood pressure is started on medication and there's no associated complications with it. And if you want to if you want to conceive, you can also start taking folic acid, and your folic acid might help to reduce certain condition risk in the pregnancy. And exercise regularly, take healthy meals. You do not need to overdo anything. Just do the routine and just pray hard that the next will be a successful implantation.
The next question is, hi doctor, what would be your advice for those who are trying to get pregnant in their 30s to have a smooth pregnancy delivery?
Smooth delivery, okay. This is a very difficult question to answer. So
I think we just discussed about how you can plan for one, but whether it turns out that way is a question. But you can certainly plan for one.
Yes. I think pray hard lah.
Yeah. I think over here again, for those who are trying to get pregnant in your 30s, the same advice that Dr. Kat has just given applies. So make sure you maintain a healthy BMI, which is a healthy weight, healthy lifestyle, which includes a variety of diet, healthy diet. Stay hydrated, take your folic acids, and get your regular health checkup done. And make sure you don't have any underlying condition. And if there are any underlying condition, then you should seek expert opinion for that. So I think those are the general advice, for all women who are trying to get pregnant, and get vaccinated ASAP, so that you can try with a peace of mind. Yes, and keep trying with a peace of mind. We have another question here, which is one of a very important question I had earlier also, Dr. Kat. Why the doctor's lighting so cantik one? I think they're referring to your mood lighting.
Because I have my brother-in-law, my husband, my whole family coming and setting up this place for me. Thanks to them.
There's a huge technical team. So thanks, Dr. Kat's technical team.
Yeah.
Now I need to put pressure on my husband to give me some pretty lights.
Okay, yes, you should.
Do you have any other questions in the last 1 minute before we go? I think we've had quite good viewership tonight. And I'm sure a lot of most of our mums to be and dads to be or watching them would have found the session really useful. Vika says, thank you, Dr. Vani and Dr. Kat, for knowledgeable sharing, loving all your topics and content. No worries. Thank you, Vika. I'm glad you enjoyed the chat. But if you do have any questions, guys, or you want to know more about issues during pregnancy and also other gynae issues and obstetric issues, do follow Dr. Catherine Param's page. She puts up very, very lovely videos. And DM us if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to answer if it's not a very personal medical question. Thanks, Dr. Kat, for joining us this evening. I had fun sharing my story, my pregnancy story.
Yeah, I had fun too.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Okay, bye.
Good night. Stay safe.